Hello everyone, this is Hasra Sultana, Assistant Professor in Tripoli Department, working in ISL Engineering College. So in today's class of Electrical Machines 1 subject, which I am taking for Tripoli second year students, I am going to tell about methods of improving commutation and about reactance voltage. So let us see first what we have seen in the previous classes. We have seen armature reaction and commutation in DC machines in the previous classes. So let us see it briefly so that we can continue with the topic. Okay. In a DC machine, carbon brushes are always placed at the magnetic neutral axis. Okay. Magnetic neutral axis is nothing but which is in the middle of the conductors. Okay. So when two poles, north and south poles are there, and between these two poles, if we are placing armature conductors, so exactly at middle, so magnetic neutral axis will be placed, and carbon brushes are always placed at this axis. So whenever we are not applying any load, this magnetic neutral axis will coincide with the geometric neutral axis. So both these axes will be coinciding whenever we are not applying any load. So whenever load is applied, flux will be armature flux is directed along the interpolar axis and it is triangular in wave shape. So this results in an armature current flux directed along the brush axis and causes cross magnetization of the main field. So as I said earlier, what is armature flux and what is main flux? Armature flux is a flux which is created by the armature conductors inside armature, because the current will be flowing. Whenever current flows, flux is also produced in the armature. Okay. And what is main flux? Main flux is the flux produced by the main magnets. Okay. So what we are telling here, that whenever machine is loaded, armature flux will be directed along the interpolar axis, and it is triangular in wave shape, and this will result in armature current flux directed along the brush axis, and it will cause the cross magnetization. What is the effect of this cross magnetization is that concentration of flux at the trailing pole tip in the generator action, and the flux will be concentrated at leading pole tip in the motoring action. Armature reaction is the effect of armature flux on the main flux. Okay, as I said earlier, please remember this line. So everyone should know what exactly is armature reaction. So this can be seen for all the machines, whether it is DC or AC machines. So we should know what is armature reaction. So armature reaction is the effect of armature flux on the main flux. In case of a DC motor, resultant flux is strengthened at the leading pole and weakened at the trailing pole tips. Armature reaction simply shows the effect of armature field on the main field. In other words, armature reaction will represent the impact of the armature flux on the main field flux. Armature field is produced by armature conductors whenever current flows through them, and the main field is produced by magnetic poles. So same thing again we are telling here, that what exactly is the definition of armature reaction. Armature reaction is representing the impact of armature flux on the main field flux, and this armature flux is produced by armature conductors whenever current flows through them, and main field is produced by magnetic poles. So armature flux causes two effects on the main field flux. First one is armature reaction will distort the main field flux, and second one is it will reduce the magnitude of main field flux. So this is the geometric and neutral axis, and magnetic neutral axis. Okay, both are coinciding when there is no load applied on it. So let us consider this and show which is showing a two-pole DC generator. This figure. So when no load is connected to the generator, armature current becomes zero. In this condition, only MMF of the main poles exists in the generator. MMF flux is uniformly distributed along the magnetic axis, and the magnetic axis means center line between the north and south pole. Okay, as I said earlier, okay, magnetic axis is nothing but what? It is a center line between north and south pole. The arrow is showing in the image as direction of magnetic flux phi m, and magnetic neutral axis or plane is perpendicular to the axis of magnetic flux. So this is a diagram showing two poles, GNA and MNA, and this is rotating magnetic field direction. These are the main pole and magnetic neutral plane, and these are the brushes, two brushes. MNA coincides with the geometric neutral axis. Brushes of DC machines are always placed in this axis, and hence this axis is called as axis of commutation. So let us consider the condition in which only the armature conductors carrying current and no current flows through their main poles. So direction of current will remain same in all the conductors lying under one pole. Direction of current will induce in the conductor induces in the conductor is given by Fleming's right hand rule, and the direction of flux generates in the conductor is given by corkscrew rule. Direction of current on the left side of the armature conductors going into the plane of the paper, which is represented by cross inside the circle. Armature conductors combine their MMF for generating the fluxes through the armature in the downward direction. Similarly, right hand side conductors will carry current and the direction goes out of plane of the paper, which is shown by a dot inside the circle. Conductor on right hand side is also combining their MMF for producing the flux in the downward direction. So conductor on both sides combines their MMF in such a way so that their flux goes downward direction, and flux induces in the armature conductor phi A is shown in the figure. This below figure is showing the condition in which field current and the armature current are simultaneously acting on the conductor. So left side you can see this one is the original flux neutral plane, and this is right side is the resultant flux neutral plane. So this will happen when machines running at no load condition. Now machine has two fluxes, armature flux and main pole flux. So armature flux is produced by the current induced in the armature conductors, while the field pole flux is induced because of the main field poles. These two fluxes combines and gives the resultant flux phi r. So when the field flux enters into the armature, they may get distorted. Distortion increases the density of the flux in the upper pole tip of the north pole and the lower pole tip of the south pole. Similarly, density of flux will decreases in the lower pole tip of the north pole and upper pole tip of the south pole. Resultant flux will induce in the generator are shifted towards the direction of rotation of the generator. Magnetic neutral axis of poles is always perpendicular to the axis of resultant flux. MN is continuously shifted with the resultant flux. Let us see the effect of armature reaction. Effects of armature reactions are as follows. So because of armature reaction, flux density of over one half of the pole increases and over the other half decreases. Total flux produced by each pole is slightly less, due to which magnitude of terminal voltage will reduce. The next is effect due to which the armature reaction reduces the total flux is known as demagnetizing effect. Resultant flux will be distorted and direction of magnetic neutral axis is shifted to the direction of resultant flux in case of generator, and it is opposite to the direction of resultant flux in the case of a motor. Armature reaction induces flux in the neutral zone, and this flux generates voltage that causes the commutation problem. MNA axis is the axis in which the value of induced EMF becomes 0 and GNA divides the armature core into two equal parts. Let us see now commutation in DC machine. Currents induced in the armature conductors of a DC generator are alternating in nature. So as I said earlier, we want AC voltage, okay, but we are getting we want DC voltage, but we are getting AC voltage. So to convert this AC to DC, we are using a commutator, which is a mechanical rectifier, which converts AC to DC. So change from a generated alternating current to the direct current applied involves the process of commutation. Currents induced in the armature conductors of DC generator are alternating in nature. The change from a generated alternating current to the direct current applied involves the process of commutation. When the conductors of the armature are under the north pole, current which is induced flows in one direction, and current flows in the opposite direction when they are under the influence of south pole. As the conductor passes through the influence of north pole and enters the south pole, current in them will be reversed. So reversal of current takes place along MNA axis or brush axis. So when the brush span has two commutator segments, winding element connected to those segments is short circuited. So the term commutation means change that takes place in a winding element during the period of a short circuit by a brush. So we can understand the commutation by considering simple ring winding shown in the figure. So in this figure you can see the direction of current flowing in the coils 1, 2 and 3 and their motion. So in this position, in the position as shown in the figure, the current I is flowing towards the brush from left hand side, passes around the coil in a clockwise direction. Okay, now let us consider the figure B. So again you can see here, we have seen the directions here. So in this figure, position of the coil shows that the same amount of current is carried by all the coils and the direction of current is also similar, but the coil is too short circuited by the brush. And in the figure C, here, this is a figure C. In the figure C, brush makes contact with bars A and B and thereby short circuiting coil 1. Current is still I from left hand side and I from right hand side. So it is seen that these two currents can reach the brush without passing through coil 1. Now next we will see the figure D. The figure D. In figure D, bar B has just left the brush and the short circuit of coil 1 has ended. So it is necessary for the current reaching the brush from right hand side to the in the anti-clockwise direction. So from all above figures and discussion, it can be seen that during the period of the short circuit of an armature coil by a brush, the current in the coil must be reversed and also brought up to its full value in the reverse direction. Time of short circuit is called as period of commutation. So this figure is showing uh, delayed or under commutation, ideal commutation and over commutation interval of short circuit, and how the current in the short circuited coil varies during the brief interval of the short circuit. This figure is showing, and the curve B shows that current changes from plus I to minus I linearly in the commutation period. Such a commutation is called as ideal commutation or straight line commutation. Here ideal commutation, red line plus I, then a straight line, then again minus I. Okay, so this is called as ideal commutation. If the current through the coil 1 has not reached its full value in the position in figure D, then since the coil 2 carrying full current, difference between the currents through elements 2 and 1 has to jump from commutator bar to the brush in the form of a spark. Thus, cause of sparking at the commutator is the failure of the current in the short circuited elements to reach the full value in the reverse direction by the end of the short circuit, and this is known as under commutation or delayed commutation. Curve of current against time in such a case is shown by figure E by curve A. In ideal commutation, curve B, the current of commutating coils changes linearly from plus I to minus I during the commutation period. In actual practice, current in the short circuited coil after the commutation period will not reach its full value, and this is due to the fact that short circuited coil offers self-inductance in addition to the resistance. Rate of change of current is so high that the self-inductance of the coil sets up a back EMF which opposes the reversal. Since the current in the coil has to change from plus I to minus I, total change is 2I. If Tc is the time of short circuit and L is the inductance of the coil, that is inductance means what here? Self-inductance of short circuited coil plus mutual inductance of neighboring coils. Then average value of self-induced voltage is L into di by dt is L into 2I by Tc, that is 2Li by Tc. This is called as reactance voltage. Large voltage appearing between commutator segments to which coil is connected will cause sparking at the brushes of the machine, and sparking of the commutator is much more harmful and it will damage both commutator surface and brushes. Its effect is cumulative, which may lead to a short circuit of the machine with an arc around the commutator from brush to brush. Let us see in detail what exactly is the reactance voltage. So difficulty experienced by the current in attaining its full value in the reverse direction by the end of short circuit period is due to the production of self-induced EMF, which is called as reactance voltage in the coil undergoing commutation. So what we are telling here, in the short circuit period, the difficulty which is experienced by the current in attaining its full value in the reverse direction is due to the production of a self-induced EMF, which is called as reactance voltage. And since the current in the coil has to change from plus IC to minus IC, that is total change is 2 IC. If WB is the brush width and WM is the thickness of mica insulation, and Vc is the velocity of commutator. Then the time of commutation or short circuit is the time required by the commutator in moving a distance equal to circumference in thickness of brush minus the thickness of mica insulation between the two commutator segments, or Tc is Wb minus Wm by Vc seconds. So if self-inductance of the coil is L henries, then the value of self-induced EMF or reactance voltage is L di by dt, that is L into 2IC by Tc, that is L into 2IC by Wb minus Wm into Vc volts. This is in the case of linear commutation. In case of sinusoidal commutation, it is equal to 1.11 L into 2IC by Tc, that is 2.22 L into IC by Wb minus Wm. Self-induction L is a composite quantity being made up of true self-induction of the short-circuited coil and mutual induction of its neighboring coils. Approximate value for L can be determined by Hobart's formula. Hobart gave an experimental rule for determination of self-inductance of a coil. He found from experiments that for slots of normal dimensions, current of I amperes flowing through a single turn coil will produce a flux of 4 microweber per meter of embedded length and 0.8 microweber per meter of free length. So for a coil of free length and embedded length, flux per ampere due to the whole coil will be equal to 4 IC plus 0.8 IF into 10 power minus 6 Weber per singleton coil, and for an N-turn coil multiplied by N. Self-inductance of coil is flux per ampere into number of turns. Each side of the coil will lie in a slot in which another side at the same instant is undergoing commutation under some other brush. So, to take into account the effect of change of flux in the neighboring coil, flux due to embedded lengths will be doubled. Value of self-inductance determined above is true only when the brush spans only one commutator segment, that is only one coil is short-circuited at a time. If the brush width is such that it short circuits m coils at a time, then self-inductance L is given as mn square into 8 IE plus 0.8 IF into 10 power minus 6 Henry, and reactance voltage is L into di by dt. So this expression is showing that reactance voltage is proportional to square of number of turns in an armature coil. Okay, reactance voltage is directly proportional to square of number of turns. N square is there here. Directly proportional to square of number of turns in an armature coil. So for good commutation, singleton coil should be used, and this can be done in large machines where the large number of commutator segments required by such a winding does not make the segments too narrow, but it is possible with small machines. Let us see the numerical. A 4-pole wave-wound DC machine running at 1500 RPM has a commutator of 30 cm diameter. If armature current is 150 amps, thickness of brush is 1.25 centimeters, and the self-inductance of each armature coil is 0.07 millihenry. Calculate the average EMF induced in each coil during commutation. Assume linear commutation. Let us see the solution. Peripheral velocity of commutator is pi d n by 60. Substitute the values. Answer is 23.56. And neglecting mica insulation. So computation time Tc is brush width Wb by Vc, that is 5.305 to 10 power minus 4 seconds. Inductance of the coil is 0.07 millihenry. So it can be written as 7 into 10 power minus 2 into 10 power minus 5, that is 7 into 10 power minus 5. Current per conductor is armature current by number of parallel paths, that is 150 by 2. Machine is wave wound, so parallel path is 2. So it is 75 amperes current per conductor, and average induced EMF is L into 2 IC by TC, that is 19.8 volts. Next numerical, calculate the reactance voltage for a machine having the following particulars. Number of commutator segments is 55, revolutions per minute is 900. Brush width in commutator segments is 1.74. Coefficient of self-induction is 157 into 10 power minus 6 Henry. Current per coil is 27 amps. Let us see the solution. Current per coil 27, self-inductance it is given. So peripheral velocity is number of commutator segments into n by 60. So 55 into 900 by 60, that is 825 segments per second. Commutation period is Wb by Vc, that is Wb is given as 1.74 and voltage is given as 825. We obtained the velocity of commutator as 825. Commutation period is 1.74 by 825. Assuming linear commutation, reactance voltage is L into 2IC by TC, that is 3.92 volts. Let us now see the methods of improving commutation. So how to improve the commutation? There are basically three methods of improving commutation. That is making the current in the short circuited coil attain its full value in the reverse direction by the end of short circuit period. First one is by use of high resistance brushes. So first method of obtaining sparkless commutation is by use of high resistance brushes. So how to improve commutation? By using high resistance brushes. And when the current from left reaches the commutator segment A, there are two paths open to it. First path will be straight across the bar A to the brush, and second will be round the short circuited coil in the clockwise direction and across the bar B to the brush. And with brushes of low contact resistance, there will be no inducement for the current to take second path. But if high contact resistance brushes such as carbon brushes are employed, some of the current will take second path through short circuited coil, then to the bar B, then to the brush, and because contact area of brush with bar A is smaller than that with bar B, as the bar B passes through the brush, contact resistance R2 will increase due to the decrease in contact area with bar B, while due to increase in contact area with bar A, contact resistance R1 decreases and allows the current to take path through segment A until the current in the short circuited coil becomes zero. So as the commutator advances further, contact area of bar B with the brush reduces, which will cause the current in the right hand path to take the path of least resistance, that is to the short circuited coil. So now the direction of current in short circuited coil will be reversed, as shown in the figure. Hence the high contact resistance helps the current in attaining its full value in the reverse direction after the period of short circuit and therefore in having good commutation. Carbon brushes also lubricate and polish the commutator as it rotates. Minor drawbacks of carbon brushes are high voltage drop. Second one, the method of improving commutation is by shifting of brushes. This method is employed for improving commutation in non-commutating pole machines. Brushes will be shifted so that the sides of a coil as it passes through its commutation period will cut the sufficient flux from the main poles to develop the necessary commutating EMF. The direction of brush shift must be such that the cutting of a portion of the main flux will induce a commutating EMF in the coil, which will be in the same direction as that of the current through the coil after it has passed through the commutating period. So, therefore, for generating option, brushes must be shifted forward in the direction of rotation of the machine. And for motoring action, brushes must be shifted to backwards with respect to the rotation of machine. So, this is the brush shift method for satisfactory commutation in generator and motor. So in general, however, it is desirable to move the brushes a little further forward than the magnetic neutral zone in order that short-circuited coil may be cutting the fringing flux of the main pole immediately in front and a voltage will be induced in the coil in the direction in which the current is about to flow. Drawback of this method is that for best commutation, brushes have to be shifted for every variation of load. Also, longer the faster forward shift of the brushes of generator or backward shift of a motor, greater as the demagnetizing ampere turns. Third method of improving commutation is by use of interpoles or commutating poles. So in practice, the carbon brushes are generally used and there is an appreciable resistance at the brush contacts. So effects of this resistance is to aid commutation but is not sufficient to constitute a solution of the problem. What is really required therefore is to produce in some way in that coil during the time, and that is short circuited an EMF of proper magnitude and direction to overcome the EMF of self-induction and so cause complete reversal of the current in the time available. And this is accomplished in practice by placing a narrow pole which is called as interpole or a commutating pole over the short-circuited coil. See here, this is called as this interpole, okay, or interpole of exciting coil. So what we are doing here, reversal of the current in the time available, and for that we are placing a narrow pole called interpole or commutating pole over the short circuited coil, and when the brushes are located at the mechanical neutral, sides of a coil will be located midway between the main poles at the instant the commutation of the coil take place. Therefore, location of commutating poles must be midway between the main poles, and the direction of commutation flux must be such that when the coil cuts across the commutating flux, a voltage will be induced in the coil which will be in the same direction as that of the current through the coil after the coil has passed through the commutating period. Therefore, in case of a generator, polarity of commutating pole will be the same as that of the main pole, just ahead in the direction of rotation. And for motoring option, polarity of the commutating pole will be of the main pole just behind. The amount of to make the commutating flux produced by the interpoles proportional to armature current, interpole windings will be connected in series with the armature current, and output current will be passed around a few turns of heavy copper conductor placed on the interpole, and care will be taken to see that there is enough iron in it so that it will not become saturated at any armature current that the generator can be expected to carry. So this is the diagram showing here with low resistance brushes in non-commutating pole and with high resistance brushes in commutating pole machine. Ideal commutation with commutation pole with commutating poles too strong. Ampere turns required on the commutating poles must be sufficient enough to neutralize the effect of armature reaction and to produce enough field in the interpolar gap to overcome the reactance voltage due to commutation. So it may be added that field developed by a commutating pole should neither be too weak nor too strong. Weak commutation field leads to undercommutation and so is arcing. So with interpoles, sparkless commutation can be achieved at up to 20 to 30% overload, and interpoles will raise sparking limit of a machine to almost the same value as heating limit. So for a given output, an interpole machine can be made smaller and therefore cheaper than a non-interpole machine. So use of interpoles is so widespread that non-interpole machines are rarely employed, if they are employed at all, and it is only when the load is known to be constant at all times. Let us see a numerical based on this topic. Determine the number of turns on each commutating pole of a 6-pole machine if the flux density in the air gap of the commutating pole is 0.5 mm per meter square at full load and effective length of air gap is 4 mm. Full load current is 500 amps and the current is and the armature is lap wound with 540 conductors. Assume the number of ampere turns required for the remainder of the magnetic circuit to be 1/10 of that of the air gap. So number of parallel paths A equal to P equal to 6 because it is lap mode. A is equal to P. Current per conductor is IA by A 500 by 6 amps. Armature cross ampere turns per pole ATC is ZIC by 2P, that is 3.75. Flux density BIP is 0.5 Weber per meter square. Ampere turns required for interpolar air gap is BIP by mu naught IP, that is 1.592. Ampere turns required for iron parts is 1/10 of that required in interpolar gap, that is 1/10 into 1592, that is 159. Total ampere turns required to provide commutating flux is 1592 plus 159, that is 1751. Interpolar ampere turns must be great enough to create commutating flux and also to neutralize the armature cross ampere turns. Interpole ampere turns required is ATIP, that is 3750 plus 1751, 5501. Number of turns on each interpole is ATIP by IA, that is 5501 by 500, that is 11. Thank you everyone for watching the video. I hope today's class is clear to everyone. So we have understood in today's class what exactly is reactance voltage, what is armature reaction, what is commutation, what are the methods of improving commutation. Okay, next class I'll be telling about the uh, derivation of torque equation of DC motor. And we will end this second unit. So second unit will be finished in the next class. Then third unit will be all about DC generators. Fourth unit is all about DC motors. Fifth unit is all about transformers. Okay. So fifth unit is very vast, students. So in fifth unit, I may conduct many classes. Second unit was also very vast. Okay. So I'll be sending you tomorrow in the next class, that is Monday, all the first and second unit notes and important, not important questions, the questions which are, came in the previous year's question papers that I have made as a unit 1 important questions, unit 2 important questions, like that. So that also I'll be sharing in the WhatsApp group. Okay, all the students should watch the video from start till the end, and you have to give your attendance in the comment section. Okay, don't give the attendance on at the starting, give the attendance at the after seeing the or after watching the video. Okay, see, your attendance is getting counted, students. Don't think that we are just simply telling you to give the attendance. We are writing your attendance in attendance register, and it is observed by all the HODs and principal, everyone. Okay. Thank you, students, for watching the video.